taught for many, many years, and I've wondered at the mystery of teaching, the excitement of teaching. And when I reach the ending, I think endings have nothing to do with teaching. It has to do with beginnings, and I keep thinking of my own beginnings. Beginnings are landmarks in human lives. Becoming a teacher, like teaching itself, always involves new beginnings. Young persons who are newcomers to the culture, to the world, offer unpredictable ways of sense-making, of readiness to learn, and their teachers in turn must continually choose to participate in the conversation that keeps traditions alive. Only human beings can enact beginnings, because to begin is to act, and to act with a sense of agency. Acting often in the light of unexplored possibility, teachers as perpetual beginners work against a background of statistical laws and certainties. The origins of what they do are to be found in the devising of distinctive projects, conditions, states of affairs, moments of mastery, framing of questions they strive to bring into being without guarantees that this will happen. They must continually think about what they are doing. They must use their imaginations as they keep in mind what might be, what ought to be. John Dewey wrote of the deliberation undertaken as a dramatic rehearsal in imagination of various competing possible lines of action, choosing among future possibilities, committing themselves to what seems most desirable. Individuals find themselves creating and recreating their identities by means of the projects they have selected and the practices to which they lead. To remain passive as a teacher is to give up the consciousness of agency. Only by taking intentional action can we define ourselves as persons and professionals. And this may be particularly the case with teachers whose classroom life engages them with diverse human beings in the process of becoming different, of learning to learn, claiming their freedom, the power to choose and to act. Teachers work to enable the young to act upon their freedom, to become, to create meaning, to transform a deficient world. We would quote Albert Camus to highlight what this might signify. He was describing the life of habit and repetitive routines, calling attention to the fact that most people follow this path easily most of the time. But one day, he wrote, the why arises, and everything begins, and the weariness tinged with amazement begins. This is important. Weariness comes at the end of a mechanical life, but at the same time, it inaugurates the impulse of consciousness, keeping the why alive, resisting the temptation to take refuge in habitual behavior. Teachers may share a newfound wide awakeness with their students. This implies a willingness of teachers to present themselves to the young as also incomplete, in quest somehow, with new questions always arising, with a rational passion as well as a humane concern for those they hope will also reach beyond themselves. Yes, we have to be cognizant of the stages of development, as we have to nurture the kind of community that moves young people to engage in the making of a normative, of moral context for the work they do in schools, enabling the young to grasp what it means to exist and to future in such a context. Teachers strive to move the young to define their own authentic standards for becoming the best they know how to be. Teachers themselves remain on the move, questioning, growing, transforming. Their practice encourages not only personal development, but development of the self as a member, participating in a vital community. This cannot but involve teachers with opening spaces in their classrooms in which teachers and their colleagues, teachers and learners, can initiate the joining of school spaces with public spaces, to places where democracy and democratic values wait to be achieved. Yes, the voices are different. Once we work to ground education in lived family experience, cultural experience, ethnic and gender experience, when the curriculum offers a multiplicity of prisms, the prisms of history, literature, the arts, the natural and social sciences, through which students may learn to look at and understand the complex changing world, and perhaps the planet itself. Teachers may resonate to the heteroglossia, the multiple voices and the dialogues they encourage, the works of art to which they attend. Of course, young people construct the meanings they discover, say, in literature in a variety of ways, or in works like The Lion King, where the wild things are, Romeo and Juliet, paintings like those done by Jacob Lawrence as he paints the Great Migration from the South, by Rembrandt, even by Picasso, evoke necessarily differing responses, all of which may enrich the conversation made ongoing by the very facts of diversity. In times like these, it becomes increasingly important for teachers to reconcile the involvement with different perspectives with a strongly felt commitment to the worthy dimension of the Western tradition, those infused by such values as freedom, equity, justice, and an ineluctable regard for the individual human being, the person who becomes an individual through participation with others, dialogue with others, storytelling with others, and whenever possible, cooperative action for this transformation of what is indecent and unjust into something better. Finally, it must be said that the early days of beginning can thwart the efforts of the most committed new teacher, in part because of the inequities, the poverty, the closed doors experienced by so many young people. It is a matter of resistance on the part of the new teacher, resistance to the objectness of bureaucracy, the masks worn by the ignorant or the demeaned, the imposition of top-down supervision, or the discouraging of dissent. It is through resistance that the self as agent becomes richer, stronger, more likely to open possibilities, to bring into being a better world. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope something of what I said connected with what you're thinking about, wondering about, hoping to do in the schools. Thank you so very much.